a solution architect, and my experience is into S4 and BI analytics implementations. So we've been doing that for some time now. And basically, today's session, I will be giving you an introduction on how we go about the process of from the point you get a requirement till the point you would try to understand what are the things that are going to be involved in that particular deliverable, and what you have to do, what are the steps you would take, what are the steps that you would take to explore um, these kinds of things. Okay, generally. Okay, so we'll look at it from more from a practical point of view. Okay, so uh, yeah. Okay. Oh, it only allows me to share one particular window. Okay, yeah, no, here it is. Right, much better. Okay. To get started, right, let's look at a simple requirement. What is a requirement that comes to you from business? Okay. I mean, at the start, okay. Not really translated or figured out by somebody or added details from another business systems analyst or a business process consultant on everything. Okay, because there's a lot of people involved in a single requirement gathering. Okay, so let's take it at the very base. The first step that happens during, when we're trying to understand something. Okay, very straightforward. Okay, so the most basic thing we would start with is what you call your requirement gathering. Okay, where we try to talk to the business and try to understand what they really want from us. So in most of the projects, right, that is what is called a requirement ID. So you have a number, a weird number like 1002 something like this. Okay, it has based on what system that particular consulting firm is using, or what particular nomenclature that particular software company is using. Okay, so let's say we have a requirement. The simplest one is there's going to be let's say summary, and then there's going to be a detailed explanation for this particular requirement. Okay, so let's say summary wise, I'm not really sure. I would say sales report. Okay, to check daily sales, something like this, right? You could get into more multiple different requirements and everything, and different things. Okay, this is what the user will tell you. Okay, the user, like, let's say there's a sales branch manager or the sales executive is there, or a person who's sending the sales report daily to your CEO, somebody, okay, an analyst who is going to do this. And the detailed explanation he would provide is, I want to find the sales numbers for daily sales for all regions or all products. Okay, something like this. A very basic explanation. Okay, this is what you get. And you may not always just get one requirement, right? You may also end up with multiple requirements. Where, let's say, somebody tells, I want to see, let's say, they say sales variance from yesterday. Okay, so the same analyst may say, I want to see what is the difference, what is the increase or decrease in my sales. Okay, a very simple request from somebody, like, this is what you would ask your bank, right? You will ask your bank, I want to see the statement for the last 6 months, or I want to see all the transactions from a particular vendor. Like, maybe I'm paying my mortgage every month, right? So I want to see, the same transaction. I want to filter it. I want to see this. So this is kind of a request you have to your bank, and this is the same request a sales analyst will have to a consultant. So now it is up to you to decide how I will deliver this. Okay, so basic level of analysis. If I'm going too fast or too slow or too much information, right, just let me know, and we'll slow it down. We'll stop. Like, we have time, so we'll just go slower. Okay, so this is something that we will try to look at, right? Okay, so now it is up to you to decide if I can show this, if I can do both these requirements in the same report, or if I can do both these requirements in the same application, whichever it is. Okay, so this is something up to you to decide. Okay, so high level flow, okay, we'll look into the smaller details and more into analysis and everything. But high level flow, what you would do is you would look at these two requirements. Okay, from your understanding, you understand the user wants, he wants to see daily sales. What does it mean? He actually wants to look at the sales by date, right? Daily. He has mentioned the word daily. If it is not clear, you kind of ask him, you kind of understand more what is the kind of report he has in his mind. If it's a new report, you kind of ask him to describe it. Okay, if it's an existing report, you ask him to show it to you, and then you try to understand this is how it would look, right? Something like that. This is kind of a very personal or a connected process. You talk to the people there, and then you try to understand exactly what is happening. Okay, so let's say the first step you took is you identify, like, see, you are going to buy an SAP software, you are going to buy an SAP implementation software, right? A big, a really big, expensive piece of software. So the first thing always we do is, for this particular requirement or a statement, I will go and check. I will check whether there is an existing tool, existing application that already satisfies my requirement. Okay, that is the first step always taken. So that's where your system comes into play. Okay, so this is your SAP logon. Okay, I mean, whoever, whenever you get a system access, also you will get something like this. You have a desk, you have a remote desktop, and then you have your SAP logon. Okay, right. Sorry, I didn't actually ask this question before. I mean, like, is the group familiar with the SAP systems, or like, completely new group? What is the idea here? I mean, what's the
Akshay, all are,
yeah?
already know HANA and
Okay.
SAP, like the basics.
Perfect.
Most of them finish the HANA basics, are there from,
Okay.
think in this way, they know the basics.
Perfect.
If they need help,
Ex-
then and separately we will help them. Okay.
Sure.
If some of
Okay.
them,
I just wanted
mostly
to know
they.
whom I'm talking about. Thanks. Okay, so like I said, right, the first step you would take, or you would do, is you would try to identify whether this particular solution, what they're asking for, is available in an existing system. I mean, you would do this through various ways. Okay, you would try to figure out through some documentation whether I have a sales KPI report, okay, or I have a sales report which shows daily numbers. Okay, I mean, XYZ, literally different ways. So you do have access to the system. So I mean, I'm using a different system than what you would get, but pretty much everything still remains the same except the user credentials, of course. Okay, so there is something called here SAP Fiori Launchpad and Launchpad Designer, uh, different things. Okay. So since you guys have done a lot of the HANA stuff, right? So you should have heard the term, S4 analytics, and there are reports in S4 and all that. So generally, right?
Can I ask
You
one
build.
question here? Sorry
Yeah,
to
yeah. Please
interrupt.
go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Sorry
you're
about that, Sanvi, please. Akshay, might be Prashant didn't tell you, we are covering HANA Enterprise, not.
Yes, yes. I'm not. I'm not going deep into it. I was just
Okay,
telling them this is a portal.
they are going to be confused. Why not you stick with first
Okay, sure.
ECC and HANA? Okay.
Okay.
At the end, we will show the S4 HANA system.
Okay.
If
That
you
works.
need the detail for ECC, I send you, because they finish,
Yeah. No,
most
no.
of
This is
them, they
the
finished
ECC, right?
HANA and they
Okay.
know ECC. If we will jump into directly S4 HANA, they're all going to be confused.
All right. Right. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think
So
better
this,
you
I
have
I had
you.
a question about this Fury Launchpad. So this is, I mean, I'm not much familiar with that. So can you explain a little bit on this? Because I use SAP on like end user level, but I'm not familiar with this
No, it
Fury.
is the same thing. It is exactly the same thing. It is just a web version of it. So nowadays, right, you have like you use the end user version, so which is connected to the portal, right? Some portal. This is the new
Uh-huh.
portal. This is the new portal.
Okay, so it's just the same like,
It's exactly the same.
okay,
It's
it's just
exactly the
a
same.
different name.
Different name and navigation is different. It's like, let's say your bank upgraded to a newer version of the web portal, a fancier one.
Okay,
Okay, it's pretty much the same. There are, I mean, of course, there's different things there, but context-wise, it's exactly the same.
okay, thank you.
Okay,
Sanvi, don't worry.
right.
At the end of the project, we will, up to some extent, we will teach you the new stuff as well as for HANA and Fury. Okay. At this moment, it's going to be confusing. No one knows. So that's why. Okay.
Yeah, correct. So, I mean, I'm just pointing out that you have these different I mean, anytime you log into a system also, right, you will find these things available there. But mainly those are for you to research to find out if this requirement sits here, this requirement sits here, etc. Okay, it's not really that you have to know every point. Nobody knows all. I mean, all these different areas clearly. Okay, it's just made to make sure that you understand that where do you find, where do you look for stuff. We look for stuff in different places. Okay, so back to our analysis. So the step one I took was, sorry. So step one I took was check if stand reports are suitable. Okay. Now step two, let's say we failed on step one. We don't have any standard reports available. Okay. So now in step two is what we are going to do is we are going to build our own report, build a new report. Okay. So to build a new report, right? I mean, this is really not enough details. This, you have no idea what it is. Okay. So there is going to be a business analyst or a functional consultant who is going to step in here. Okay. So he is going to translate the business requirement to a functional document. Okay. Most of the time, right, as a technical consultant, you will step up once this is delivered to you. Okay, it depends on your role, but there are, I mean, it depends on your role, but basically you start from here, or you if in the at the timeline in a project, if you are at this point, you start from here. But in most cases, right, in most cases, it doesn't matter if the project has started 6 months ago, 7 months ago. If you are delivering a requirement, you would probably start with this point. Okay, this is a business functional document which is written by a functional consultant who is going to tell you these are the fields, these are the uh, mappings, this is the logic, this is what it is available here for you to find out. Okay.
Hey, Akshay.
Yes.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I have a few questions about your mentioned Fury. Is it the same exact modular SAP, Studio, but it's on web based?
No.
Does it mean
I
that we
meant
can
the
do
portal.
everything?
No. I meant it is a portal.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, right, your old SAP ECC system, if you worked on the front end, right, you have one is your GUI, okay, that is a T code based navigation, etc. Correct? But for the end users, right, a lot of the end users access it through the portal where you have some ABAP WebDen Pro reports, etc. Am I making sense of that? These terms?
So you're
Yeah,
saying that
it's just that.
Flory is on, sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead,
Go ahead.
Molly. Okay, so you're saying that Flory's Sorry
Fiori.
if
Fiori.
I'm spelling Fiori. Is it like the end user SAP portal,
Yes.
SAP ECC portal? It's the same thing, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Molly, you
And
were
I have
asking
another
something.
question. Yeah, the second one, which is like the requirement is functional document, and we get a technical document too.
Technical document you write. It depends. Like I said, right? What happens is there's a lot of variables in a project. Okay. So, uh, I mean, let me give you an example. Okay. Let's say we do 3 months of requirement gathering. In 3 months, we
Yeah,
all
that's
talk.
what
We
I
talk
want
to
to
a
know.
lot. Yeah, yeah. Okay. With 3 months, we talk to a lot of the business people. We go to their office. We sit with them. We sit on the factory floor. We understand these requirements, and we come back. Okay, and now what happens is you identify what are the new items that you need to build or modifications that needs to be done. Okay, now a functional consultant is going to step in and write this. Okay, so this is the process. Okay, but now consider the requirement of number of people required to come and do this for you. Okay, now what happens there is there's always a variable that you don't have enough people available at one point of time. Okay, it's not bad planning, it's just that you don't have number of people available to do this. So what we do here is when you get a functional document, right, an we have a process where, let's say, 4a, okay, we have an optional process where you write technical spec technical spec, but this is not written by the developer, not by the developer himself. Okay, this would be written by somebody like me, a solution architect, or somebody who understands, let's say, who understands this process much better. Okay, who has a lot of development experience, who doesn't have to develop the object himself to actually write the technical specification. Okay, and the accuracy of this document is somewhere around 80%. For example, you are supposed to code an ABAP program. Okay, uh, the process here is that you don't do the programming itself, but you write all the details required for somebody to write the program. Okay, this is why one where you will not write the technical spec yourself. You will not look at the FDS, but you will directly be handed the technical spec. Okay, because somebody else has planned your development, has looked into the details, and has suggested an approach saying, please do this, and you will be able to get this result. But there are some details missing which you will fix, which you will add during development. Okay, this is one point. The other process here is, let's say there are enough people available. Okay, enough skilled people available. In that case, what you will do is the developer himself starts writing the technical spec. So if you're going into this particular process, what you would do is you will get this particular technical business requirement. Okay, you will get the functional document from somebody. You will read that functional document and you will write a technical spec. Okay, let me give you an example of a business requirement. Okay, so like I was talking to you about this, right? Sales order KPI report. Okay, it was titled something differently, but that is what it is. Okay, you have aging report, something else. I'll just open up this one. So each company or each consulting firm, each software company, right, has a different version of this document. So like, small details are different, small things are different, but you pretty much still have the standard stuff what you have promised. So you will have something like a requirement overview. So it describes what this report is supposed to do. Okay, the assumptions that was made during requirement gathering, stuff like this, process flow. Okay, so all these is something, I mean, when you look at an actual diagram, you will definitely see this stuff. Okay, and it tells some more details. Okay, ignore, I mean, just I'm giving an overview of the document. It tells I want to run this report every day. I want to run it through some transaction codes. Okay, uh, different. I mean, most of the information that is required to complete it is recorded. Okay, it's like an interview or feedback form. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to fill up all the details that you can provide. Okay, so something like this. Okay, it's telling you, so what are the dependencies on this, etc., etc. At the end of it, right, what happens is somebody is they're going. This is your functional document. The functional person is going to fill up this document and give it to you. Okay. Yes, this doc. So there's a difference. Okay, the functional person speaks a business language. You need a technical document. So this is where more people come in. Okay, somebody is going to review this document and say yes, we are ready for development. Okay, that is just going to be the steps that is going to be followed to make sure you get a quality development. But again, like I said, right, the process is a little flexible, not like completely rigid. So like for example, right, let's say you are working for a you're working for a company which has a very good let's say the IT team. Okay, I mean really mature IT team and everything. So they will follow this process very strictly. So they will have requirement, they will have FDS, then FDS review, then FDS approval, then you have TDS, let's say TDS or build or some TDS writing, then you have TDS review, then you have TDS approval, then you have basically after your TDS is approved, you have your development time. Okay, after you finish your development, you have unit test. After you finish your unit test, you have your FUT, functional test. After you finish your functional test, you have your integration test. After your integration test, you have your performance test. Okay, after you finish your performance test, you basically have your go live. Okay, it depends on the company. So like the skeleton of the structure is still the same. You will always have an FDS, you will always have a TDS. Okay, and then you definitely will have a development and unit test and function test. Some of these are again depends on the company and depends on the process itself. They kind of leave it alone. They say, I don't want to do this. We will do it some other time. So like I said, right, you are, as long as you are going to get your TDS or your FDS, you should be able to take the next step. Okay.
Just a quick question. What does FDS stand for, or TDS?
Okay, so FDS is functional document specification or functional specification document. What I'm showing you right now is a functional specification document.
Okay.
Okay.
And what does TDS stand for?
Technical specification document. Or I mean, sorry, I'm like used to in my place. It is TSD, they call it, or something like that. It's basically we call it tech spec, function spec.
Say it one more time.
Tech spec, functional spec.
Okay.
It has the functional specifications and technical specifications. So this is basically one small. I mean, again, depending on something, you can have multiple levels of functional testing, multiple levels of integration testing, performance testing. Again, it all depends on what is agreed and what is understood. So if you're going into a new project, ask all these questions, understand what are the steps they will do, what is the process they will follow, and then you will have a good idea about where you are or what point of time you're working on. Okay. So like I said, right, you see the functional requirement. So this is your functional specification. Okay. And yes, you will have details like this. Okay. A functional specification should have two things. That is, it should give you the name of the tables and the name of the fields. Okay. What is the output that is required is something they will give it to you. Okay. The other things that you really need to understand is the process of it. Okay. You need to remember some of the common transaction codes. Okay. Let's understand that. So we are talking about a sales order. Okay. So this is my default GUI transaction. So to create a sales order, you would go to a transaction known as VA01, okay, or VA03 or VA02. So we have different transaction types. Okay? in generally in SAP, right? This is kind of SAP follows this name. Okay, so any transaction code will have it'll start with some alphabets, and then there is a number. 01 stands for create. Just a hint. It can be anything else also like this. And 02 stands for edit, edit or change. XXXX 03 stands for display. Depending on what role you are playing, you will have permissions to either create, change, or display. Okay, right now I'm looking at a sales order. So let's say I'll say 03. Okay, so okay, I'll tell you what I'm doing this, but because I don't have a sample record to show you, I'm just going to look for something directly. Okay, let's take this. Okay, so I want to look at a simple sales order. I'm just showing you an example of how it works. So I entered the sales order number. It told me some kind of a warning, and this is your default sales order creation screen, or sorry, creation screen. But right now I'm kind of displaying it, so I'm not able to edit anything. Okay, so what does a simple sales order consist of? It has a lot of fields. Okay, so SAP is a very mature ERP, so it has a lot of fields to manage a sales order, from pricing, delivery, billing, everything is there. Okay, so not getting into too many details, but this is your sales order item, sales order screen. So first thing is it has a sales order number, sold to party, shipped to party. This is something you can relate to, right? Like when you do an online online purchase, right? You have Amazon kind of allows you to, right? You can buy the product, but you can ship it to your friend like a gift or something, or you can buy it and you can ship it to yourself, right? So that is a small difference here. Okay, and like this, you have different items here. So one of the good things about what SAP does is it kind of allows you to navigate into different fields and different details in every screen. Okay, not every time it is available, but it is definitely possible. Okay, so for example, you have this, okay, say the standard order. Okay, you don't know where this particular field is there, right? This is just an application, right? I mean, it's not really a database where it is storing something. So you want to find out any transaction for that example. Okay, like I can open every transaction you can think of, but every particular screen works like. So I really don't know where this field is there, right? Sorry, it's jumping. Okay, but I'm not sure where this particular date is stored, right? I don't know where this is coming from. So it says requested delivery date. I have no idea. So how do I how do I find out where this particular field or where this data is being stored? The simplest one is click on that particular field and use F1. F1 is kind of used for help universally, right? I mean, you use it in Word, Excel, and everywhere. So same thing I did. I clicked on F1. So now what it does for me is it opens something called a performance assistant. And here you have a button called technical information. Let's just click that. So once you open the technical information, what's happening is for this particular field, okay, it tells you the program name, all of that. But again, if you're an ABAP programmer who is building an application like this, all of this is pretty useful for us. Okay, for analytics and for reporting folks, you definitely need to know which table this particular field belongs to. So it is telling me very clearly, this is VBAK, this is VBLN. Okay, it is definitely telling me this. I can definitely double click here and navigate. So I double clicked and it kind of opened this stuff for me. Or I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with the SE11 transaction codes. Okay, I should definitely close this browser. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Akshay, I'm not sure with the question, but just a small question here. So you show the sales report and then you show the table VBAK. So then it would, so like in a similar way, if I go to any other transaction code with 01 and then I do this performance
Yeah.
assistant and then I get a table name, so it will display all the
Sure,
documents
we'll
for
test it.
that report.
Yeah,
Is that
let's test it. So now
okay?
I'm going to open up /o FB01. This is
Okay.
billings.
Yeah.
Okay. So I opened up, so now document date is there.
Mm-hmm.
Function. This is for creation. I hit 01, right? So it is asking me to
Yes,
create
it's
something.
creation, right?
Okay. So I hit F1 and it will,
Where did you see the performance assistant? Sorry, I can. It's
no,
not very
like I
much.
said, right? Whichever field, like for example, I'm not even entering it on an input field. For example,
Mm-hmm.
it says TTP/IP. I clicked on
Mm-hmm.
this and for red highlight comes up here, right? I click
Mm-hmm.
on F1 again.
Mm-hmm.
The
Oh, okay.
performance assistant comes up. It doesn't matter where you do it, but everywhere you can do it. Even on a button, for
Okay.
example. Doing it on a button is a little difficult, but anything anywhere you do it, right? It kind of, that's how it works. This is normal. This is like forward navigation into SAP system.
Yes.
And then you click on this. It tells you the table name, it tells you the field name, it tells you this data element, etc., etc. It tells you everything. Okay, so for every ABAP programmer, right, for every person who is building an app like this, an application like this is very useful tool.
Okay.
Okay, a lot of times
Yeah.
you end up, what do you call this? Enhancing an application. So this application is there. They will tell us that I mean, so let's say I mean, okay, let's take the sales order example, easier to relate. Okay, let's say DA03. Okay, so now you're looking at something like, let's say your total weight, okay, or volume of it, okay.
Uh,
Now, let's say
I have
you
a
have,
question. Sorry, I have a
yeah, go
question.
ahead, go ahead.
You said VBAK. I want to know that if that table is applicable in HANA database, the VBAK.
Yes. Okay. So just to make sure we have this, we are both, everybody's on the same page. The tables, what you see in HANA, right, are generally not created by the developer. Okay. So just to make sure you guys are you have the context. So this is going to be, let's say, a source. Okay. This can be an ECC system. This can be an S4 system. This can be an Oracle EBS system. This can be Hyperion. I mean, I can list out 10 or 20 other items which can be a source. So this is where users create data. Okay, the data is
Sorry to
always
interrupt,
created
Akshay.
from
So,
somewhere.
so you're saying in SAP you can get in SAP HANA you can get the data from Oracle and Hyperion as well?
Yes,
Okay.
you can get data from anywhere you want. Again, it's not that it's not a blanket one. There is, I mean, there's development involved and considerations involved, but technically, yes. Okay, you get
Okay.
data
I have a
from
question,
wherever it is
Akshay.
situated. Yeah.
So we have to do the LTRC or the command, right? We type in there. We have to do
Yes.
the replication. You're saying, right?
I mean, okay. So, like I said,
Basically,
right?
like importing the data into HANA
Yes,
Studio
exactly.
using ECC
Yes,
or BODS, right?
correct. So it's
Okay.
not really HANA Studio as such, but to the HANA database. But either way, the main point here is you have something called let's call this. This is the replication layer. So you have any number of tools which companies use. Okay, they even invent their own tools. Okay, so to do this, but at the end of it, right? As far as you are concerned, you will have, this is your HANA DB. All the tables that are relevant to your build should be here. So it doesn't about VBAK or any specific table name. The data you require should be here. Okay, so let's
I
for
have
now I consider VBAK.
yeah,
It
I
will be
have one more question. So for S4, we need only HANA database system, right?
no nothing like I didn't under, let
Like to run
okay.
the S4 HANA, we need SAP system, right?
Okay. So let me differentiate this again. So
Okay.
this is S4, and there is another HANA system over here. Okay. So it again. So you are right about that. The S4 product runs on HANA. Okay. Like I said, this is the source. But
Okay.
when I mentioned Oracle EBS, Hyperion, I know there is no mandatory requirement that HANA should be there for it. It can be anything. But yes, S4 is going to have a HANA database here. You can, practically speaking, you can do your modeling here. Okay, but the issue with this is, okay, so I'm going to cover this. Let's understand this a little very clearly. Okay, so the issue with doing a modeling here, okay, or reporting here is, let's take an example. Okay, let's take a simple example of I mean, Amazon is good, but okay, let's take a simple example of an airline. What do you say? Your airline booking system. Okay, let's take your Lufthansa booking, which does international level bookings all over the place, right? So consider this: you have a real life scenario. Okay, you have a scenario where, let's put something here. Okay, so you have your Lufthansa booking system. Okay, and you have, let's say, 100,000 customers every day doing something. Okay, every day booking tickets, canceling tickets, etc., etc. Okay, I will do a rough estimate saying, of, let's say, for 100 for every user, I am going to consume 0.5 MB of RAM. Okay, this is kind of very small. Okay, that's too small, I think. Let's say 2 MB of RAM. Okay, to, like, book a ticket, to get the availability details, to book a seat, something like this. Okay, per customer, this is going to be this one. So let's say it is, I'll put it up here, 100,000 into 2 MB, which is nothing but 1024. Okay, so I'm just converting it into GB. So on a daily basis, I will consume up to what is this? Close to 200 GB of RAM. Okay. Now, if my assumption is clear, this is my highest traffic on my website. Okay, in a day, I'm going to have so many people at any point of time looking at my website like this. So this is a pretty huge consumption. Now, if I want my system to be fast, I am going to have enough RAM on this particular system. Okay, so that users don't get logged out of the system. They're able to book their tickets quickly. They have a smooth experience. Okay, this is one activity that happens every day. Okay, this is your booking tickets. The second activity is for every flight, right? When you get into the flight, you see, right, the flight crew already have their list of passengers, everything available with them, right? Very simple. They already have a printed list of all the, if you've booked a meal on your flight, if you have check-in luggage, what are all the other details. So that is, let's say, a simple report of passengers, simple report for, let's say, simple list of passengers. Okay, now let's say at any point of time 100,000 users are logging into the portal to book tickets, etc. But the number of people who would actually look at the entire list of passengers is very less. So let's put it at, let's say, 10,000. Okay, or let's say just 1,000. But consider this: when a user is doing a single transaction, he is going to consume 2 MB of memory. If a user is going to look at the entire list of passengers with all the details of that particular flight, they are going to consume more memory. A simple, a very low level assumption is something around 100, let's put it as not 100, close to, let's say, I'm really underestimating stuff, 500 MB of data. I mean, 500 MB of data and size. So the same formula, if I apply over here, what you can see is only 1,000 people logged in, but the amount of memory consumption has become what, close to 500 GB. Very troublesome. Okay, but now consider this: if you end up doing both of them, if you end up doing your reporting, okay, and if you end up doing your analysis, sorry, if you end up doing your ticket booking as well as your analysis in the same place, you are going to have huge consumption of memory. Not just memory, it actually all the other resources. You're going to have lot of network traffic. You're going to have a lot of processing taking up, right? So what we do here is we say this particular activity, the booking, ticket, all these kinds of transactional activities, you do it in this system. Okay, all the analytical activities, you do it in a different system. Okay, we don't want you to do both of them at the same place. Okay, because if you do both of these at the same place, the transaction system, which is very important to your business, which does your sales, which takes your complaints, which does your deliveries, all of these day-to-day activities may fail, or the system could crash. So all the analytical things, right, you do it in a different system. You don't do it in the same place. Okay, so that is kind of one of our recommendations. But like I said, right, the decision whether you do it here, modeling, or you're reporting, so this I should write it as reporting, whether you do it reporting here in this particular system or you do it here, depends on what, on the number of users and the amount of data. Okay, so that is the important criteria. Don't forget that. Generally the reason is this, but why do we do it? We can do it in the same place, we can do it in a different box, whichever it is. The decision depends on how many users are going to use your report, how much of data your report is going to consume. A very, yeah.
Akshay, I have a so the entire scenario, the project would be we pull up the data, import it actually into HANA database, and then
Yes.
we do the modeling and reporting, on HANA database, and we present it to the customer, right?
Yes.
Is that what the project looks like, end-to-end implementation?
Yes. Correct. That is
Okay.
your summary. Absolutely right.
And there is a point where the QA people does that, and customer support. We are not part of that.
QA people do that and customer support. I didn't understand which particular QA or
Okay.
kind of customer you're talking about. Like, for example, right? I'm a developer. For me, the customer is the actual business itself.
Okay.
So, is that the customer you're talking about, or the customer is like an end customer who is buying something?
No, like specific requirement like this one. They want a day-to-day fluctuation. They want to see which
Exactly.
product they're selling the most. So they
Correct.
probably want to
That
focus on that, or they might want to make a business decision based on that. So my
yes.
requirement is just get the information and present it to them the way they can understand it better. So to do that,
Correct.
you gave me the source and you gave me the target. We bring the information, transactional data into the model, HANA database, and we do the real-time modeling and reporting from there, right?
Absolutely right. Correct.
One more
Okay.
question here. Molly, are you finished? Can I go ahead ask the question?
Sure, go ahead.
So one more question here. So what would be the job description? Like, because usually, like if you go to see on the job portal, what would be the job
Hmm.
descriptions? Would be like,
So you would have,
for this training,
yeah.
what kind of job description should I be looking for?
Okay. So the job description is definitely going to vary. You're going to be called a HANA developer. Okay. Modeling HANA modeler. okay, or reporting consultant.
But what like what other can you give me like specific things like like this they ask like
Okay, so
um
specifically, or more, what is preferred? Sorry, let me delete here.
uh-huh. Like they ask like implementation of SAP S4 HANA, or like if you search, so what should be those things like that, like the skill
Okay,
sets
so
or the
like I
key
said, yeah.
responsibilities,
Okay,
those kind of
skill
stuff.
set and key responsibilities. Good. Okay, speaking in terms of that, right? First thing is you should definitely know HANA modeling. Okay, so that is kind of a given. The additional knowledge, which is let's say now skill number two, is this particular part. Okay, you should know the process of a sales order process. I mean, uh, there's no way everybody knows a process for every small thing in SAP. But let's say you have a scenario, you are going to go present yourself as somebody who has actually done a single who has done a reporting build, and you understand, you give a report name, you say, I have worked on billing report, I have worked on sales report. Okay, it is an expectation that you know the sales order process. It is an expectation that you know what is involved in that sales order process. Okay, so those two things are kind of really important and really necessary. Apart from that, right, you should have a good awareness of tables. What are the tables involved in this? It is not like, SAP has around 75,000 tables. Okay, nobody knows everything. No way anybody knows anything. How do you find stuff? Okay, you should be familiar with a few transaction codes. Again, it depends on module to module. Okay, let's say you tell somebody that, I worked on an inventory module. You should know some of the useful transactions in inventory. Or let's say you said billing, you should know the billing process, and you should know what are the useful transactions in billing. Okay, so something like that. You should definitely have an awareness of how the end user is doing this, and how you are ending up showing that particular record. Okay, so coming back to this document, right, for example, I am showing sales order number, order date, order order from date to date. That's a little different in some things, but sales organization, distribution channel, division, sold to, shipped to, everything. Now take a look back here. You have order number, sold to party, shipped to party. Okay, all these things look different here. Okay, in your report, what does it look like? It looks like a single table with multiple 10, 20 rows in it, right? It's kind of different. So for you, it looks
So the
different. Okay,
process, sorry
everything
to
comes in a
interrupt. So the
single place.
process would be like a creation of reports. Is that what this whole process that you're teaching would be? Creation of report,
Yes, it's
creation of
always
report
the
in
yes, it's
SAP
always
HANA.
going to be a yes. It is always going to be a end product is going to be a report with analytics. Okay, either a report or a dashboard or something like
Okay.
that. Okay, yeah. So this is the whole process that you would go through. Okay, so once you have done your you see your document, right, technical spec, you do your development. Okay, and then step 6 is basically your testing. Okay, so this is what at a high level your design process, your implementation process works like. Okay, so you would basically have to go through a lot of this to understand what is happening. For example, like I said, right, you have BBK, BBAK, BBLN, and everything. At some point of time, right? Coming back to this. Okay, so right now what happened is, let's say I, did F1, and this takes me to this particular screen. Okay, it gives me the table name over here. Like I said, right, everywhere you can kind of double click. Okay, kind of get comfortable with this. Just double click on this. It takes you to a different place. Okay, so what you see here is, it is the table. How do you get to this? The regular transaction code is slash NSC11. Are you familiar with this particular transaction code?
I know, but we are not authorized to use it, like in my workplace.
Okay, so yeah, instead of that, you will be authorized to use this 16N, SC16N. You can check it out. This is kind of definitely available for you to use. Okay, so SC16, like I said, right, there are different levels of access provided. SC11 slash and SC11 is kind of where you can have change, create privileges also. So they are worried that some people are going to look into this, look into changing something which they should not, and all that. So that is one. Or like I said, right, slash NSC 16N. There are a lot of T codes like this. Okay, people do it in a lot of different ways. Just as long as you understand this. Okay, SC16. This one only allows you to look at the data. Okay, but I want to show you what are the fields and other things. Slash NSC11. So the table name is something we got display. Okay. Uh, so there is, I mean, when you have done HANA modeling and HANA reporting or any of the basics you have looked at, right? You have to understand, right? The table has two parts: column name and descriptions. Column name and the technical details for that. Like for example, what is the length of the column? What is the type of the data stored, right? So when you look at something like that on HANA, this is how it is in the source system. For example, the field, this particular field, sorry. Okay. So this is the VBAK field, right? I'll do the F1 again. Just one second. Okay. So you have this particular transaction field, right? And you kind of jump into this particular table. So far, you're right. The second thing you saw over here was it told you the field name, VBLN. Again, you kind of have the field name here. Next to the field name, what do you have? It is something called data element, data type, etc., all the other details, right? So this is what is going to tell you what is the data type, what is the field, what is the content of that data. For example, when you're modeling stuff, right, you can do modeling on, there's two different types of fields you will identify, right? Numerical variables and characters. What are the difference? Numerical variables you can add, plus or minus, max, count, subtract it, divide it, whatever. The other variables, sorry, the other fields, that is like, character fields, you can't do any of that. You just have to look at it. You have to understand that they are descriptive fields. So any of the character fields are descriptive. Of course, you have the dates, DATS, other things. So SAP has a lot of data types over here. Okay, so this, you have to basically go through kind of this particular thing step by step. So first identify the table, and then
One
identify the
question, you
field.
sorry if I can interrupt you.
Right.
So this is a transactional data, and it will keep changing like almost daily or probably even within an hour. So if the data keep changing, you have already imported the data in SAP HANA. So that data is
So
not going to change. So that's not going to be like the exact data.
no, I didn't call it import. I called it replication.
Uh-huh.
So generally what happens is they decide whether they want to have data every hour, the data refreshed every hour, or they want a real-time data. So what happens is we can copy data from the source to your HANA
Hmm.
system on a
Hmm.
real-time basis. Like every minute I can copy,
Okay, so
or
when a
every
transaction is entered, it will get into HANA database as well.
immediately in matter of
Okay,
seconds, less than seconds.
okay,
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Akshay,
Yes.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
once we replicate the data and we refresh the, we right click and refresh, it means it's updated in real time, right?
Yes. It depends on the tool, but it is definitely done like that.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So we are kind of over the time, but I'll stop here. But what we have to what we understood here today is, first thing, what are the general steps? What are the general process steps that goes on in your you know sorry, kind of a project? Uh, how many notepads? Okay. So we will actually look into more of this. Okay. You will be more interested in this specific steps. Okay. So we will kind of look into it more as we go along. Prashant, there's another person also who will be available from tomorrow. We will look more into details on this. Okay, that should be fine. But right now, what did we understand? As far as you're concerned, when a particular process, a transaction, or a specific process like sales order process or billing process is given, the first step you take is you kind of identify which transaction codes to use. If you're not there, Google it. For example, sales order create SAP. Okay. No, sorry. This system does not have the internet, I think. So let's say SAP. So you can see the first thing that tells you is the transaction codes and everything. So it's going to be that simple. Okay, 70% of the time you will always spend in Google. You'll have to search for stuff and everything. So kind of learn the simple words, okay, and everything. Google is grammatically also strong, so you definitely can type in your question. Okay, so that works. So once you identify it, check the transaction code in an actual system, identify what are the fields it requires, use F1, navigate forwards, find the tables, identify the fields. Okay, this is going to be your daily activity, kind of, even if you're doing a reporting, right? You want to verify this field, what is the text for this field, what is the data type for this field, what is the format of these fields. All these questions you have to answer simply by navigating through the system. Okay, so every time, basically, this is one screen. We will dig deeper into the SE11, SE16. Okay, but for today, I think I'll have to stop here. Any questions on
Can
what
I
we have
can I
done?
have a last question, please?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So can you go back to Google and can you show us like what is the job profiles actually that would be that we should be looking for, like, or we would learn after this training, like what exactly, because
I mean, you just do
jobs,
this.
yeah,
You kind of, yeah. So
SAP HANA
like,
developer jobs, yeah.
you definitely have something like this.
Yeah, but
ABAP developer is
click on,
different one.
yeah, can you click on any one of this and then can we see?
You can also
Give me,
look for data modeler for HANA.
okay, let's say this is SAP HANA. Okay, this is, yeah, okay, here it is. So let's look at the details more. So I mean, this is all communication and everything, but technical stuff is it is telling you that you need native HANA, which is what you would be doing mostly. A lot of modeling stuff, a lot of the stuff. And like I said, right, apart from that, they would also look for some additional things. Like in this case, how to guide, sorry, like white, too much of stuff, but this is okay. You have, they're asking for something called BobJ, which is more of a reporting thing.
Yeah, so would we learn that or no? That's not what is there in
Uh,
this
I
training.
think I think Hamna has to answer that. I'm not sure.
Okay, but so from this one, like which is the one that best suits our what we are doing right now?
So this is what you're doing. So native HANA development. So see, basically they're definitely asking for a, okay, this is more of a senior principal software
Yeah,
developer kind of
can
job.
we look at some other job like maybe
Excuse
S4
me,
HANA
Sanvi,
developer? Yes.
listen. Because Akshay does not know your background. Akshay, she is working as an end user. She also finished the training of FICO. So what I told her, like you can go as a financial reporting analyst. Okay,
Right.
and also
Okay.
you
So
do, Sanvi, you do this homework. Like what type of job you gonna get after this?
right.
Yeah, I was
Actually,
looking
that
into
is
it. So I
something
was
you
like,
definitely check it out. Sorry, go ahead.
so
No,
this
what were you
SAP
looking for?
ELT.
Tell me something like that. What were you looking for exactly? Something like that. Reason net revenue is wrong is because of something else. And then what they will say is, for example, this particular field is there, and for this it is going to take 5 accounts. These accounts
Mhm,
are right, and then they're going to check these accounts in the system. They're going to say this account value should be this, but is this? Please
mhm,
fix. This is a subject matter expert. They know that to develop this, to develop total revenue, what was the development activity that was carried out? What was the development that was actually done? Where is these accounts? Where are these numbers stored? So they are able to directly dig down into the lowest level and identify the problem. Whether you have the time to fix it or not is different. But to first thing, like I said, right, you drill down into different items. Now you find a sales order, the number is right, but in the table the number is wrong, or the report the number is wrong. Right now,
yes.
what you're doing is you're just saying the sales order item somebody booked as 100,000 is not coming in this report. The subject matter expert, what they will do is they will bridge this gap for you, and then
Mhm,
tell the developer that you're using the wrong field, fix this. Now the
okay.
developer understands very clearly that this is the problem. So now, according to your skill set, it depends on where you want to fit in or where your interest lies. You want to be the person who fixes the issue, identifies the
Mhm.
issue, or really goes, he's able to sit between two people and bridge their communication gap. So, like I said, right, it depends on basically on where your interest lies and how much of skill set you're going to build for that.
Sorry, excuse me. So is the classes over for today?
Yeah.
Okay. So are we meeting